Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back here with the owner and CEO of Howell Academics, and they are offering unparalleled expertise in guiding families through school admissions for all ages. And we're here with the owner, Paula Howell, again, joining us live today from beautiful Vancouver. How are you?
I'm good. It's, it's been a busy last couple of days because we are closing in on the application finalities of sending in the application. So parents are kind of buzzing with excitement with that, but also the worry, the contemplation of whether they've done enough or whether or not they'll be seen in the process.
Yep. And when does this all end? This is now applications for what in particular? For which school year?
So right now it'd be for parents who are looking for their children to apply for starting in September 2025.
So it's like a year out, if that's kind of how it works, right?
Yeah. So the admission season runs, you apply the year prior to the admission season.
Thank you so much. All right. It's news to me, and I will have to learn this in a few years when my sons get bigger. Tell us a little bit about yourself and, of course, how we can contact you, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, so my name is Paula Howell. I am the founder and education director at Howell Academics. The focus is educational applications, looking at the idea of private school admissions, and I always like to add that caveat of beyond. So we help foster learning through all stages of those milestones for parents. You can contact me on www.howellacademics.com, directly at Paula Howell at howellacademics.com. And of course, you can always telephone on 778-628-0204.
Perfect. And how did you want today's show to go? What are we discussing today? What did you have in store for us?
Well, I think the big thing is I just recently did an Our Kids Expo keynote, and I've been working with Our Kids platform for a little bit over 8 years. And it's a platform that supports families in anything private school admissions, at least within Canada. And what's interesting is over the last few years, the attendance of the private schools has become less, and the questions have become more. So I think sometimes what happens, I'll say that again.
Yeah, I was going to know, I got it, but I can't believe that.
So in Vancouver, the attendance of, vendors like schools and so on, attending as representatives of the private schools has become less, yet the questions continuously become more. And the reasons why that the private schools, in my viewpoint, don't necessarily come is because it's not necessarily the canvas to ask those questions. They want to hold more of an intimate space during their open houses and so on. With that, the parents who come to the expo are parents who are very focused in wanting to have resource to understand how to navigate that process. So this weekend, or this past weekend that happened, I did the keynote again. And the types of questions that came out from most of the families were, they keep saying the same thing. It's just, how do we stand out? And the simple question they always say is, just make sure that your children are ready.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. And parents ask, that's like a loaded question.
It is, I'm sure.
Or statement, so to speak.
And but you also just want to point out, you're working with families of all ages, right?
I do. I specialize in primary or early learning. So I specialize in those ready years. So that's your JK admissions, predominantly JK to grade 12 admissions. And our clients that we have between that JK and 12 end up being our university clients as they go through that process.
Now, in order to get started just with you, right, you do an initial, an interview with the parents, I'm assuming, and you work like this, like I'm in New York. You can work with me, my children, my family. This is all virtual. You don't have to be in Vancouver, correct?
No, you don't, because when we talk about it, and that's one of the things we talked about, and I leaned in with a bit of a story, which I'll share in a moment, but it's really about the idea of it's about being ready, but ready means not necessarily you providing your child with readiness skills, although they're important, but it's also an understanding and being ready for what is involved in the admissions process, which is pretty much an audit of your family. The admissions process itself is an audit, and we don't audit ourselves very often because we're really busy. So when we are given the landscape to actually say, now you're going to need to audit yourself, nobody really has that coveted kind of, strategy. So what we do is we help you with that strategy. And the first start of that alignment is to meet and understand who your family is. But I gave a story at the expo because I believe at the time it really resonated, and it still does. And I go back to the idea. It was about 3 weeks before my daughter, who was supposed to be starting her first private school preschool. And I had a flurry of things because I was also navigating other parents who were in that process at different stages. And I went to a boutique sort of store that I've been buying for her since she was a little girl, just because it had cute, interesting things, but they also had general things. So I went there thinking, well, they will definitely have the hunter black boots, that are rain boots, that are pretty much predominant in Vancouver. So I don't need to pre-order them or do anything. So I show up and I get there, and the salesperson says to me, I'm sorry, we don't have any of the black in. They've been sold out for months. And I said, months? And in my surprise, I had this flood of emotion that came through that I didn't necessarily pre-plan. I didn't organize. My daughter isn't going to be prepared. And I'm Paula from Howell Academics, and parents who've gotten into this school are going to watch me and say, she doesn't even have the uniform. She's not prepared. Oh. So all these limiting beliefs came into my existence. Meanwhile, if you turned to the right of my daughter, she saw these beaming red fire engine red boots that were there. And all she kept saying was, Mommy, these are perfect. And as she was going through her reasons to why they're perfect, one being, Mommy, I don't really need to know how to write my name or recognize the letters in my name because I know what red is. Mommy, when it rains, it doesn't matter because red is part of the rainbow, so maybe it'll make the sun come out faster. And then, Mommy, it doesn't matter because when all the friends are looking for their boots, I will find mine the best. So although she had logical reasons to why the red were okay, I heard she doesn't have to recognize her ABCs. I somehow failed in making sure that she's not confident in that. The rainbow, which is great, but she'll be outside and everybody will notice that she's not wearing the uniform. Will she fit in with the other kids? No. Then the other idea about the concept of, you know what, is she going to be able to make connections if she's ostracized in the idea, these are my boots, I'm first in line. So I was looking at it from the lens of my own limiting beliefs.
Wow. That's a great story.
We did end up buying those boots, and she did wear them. But that's not where the story ends, because those same thoughts went through my head, right? It was when I had taken her to the pediatrician, because it was her last year of her pediatric care. 5 is when they cut it off here. And she sat up and she said, you're a big girl now and you're going to school. And of course I taped it because it was her last appointment. And she sat there, and I'm thinking so pridefully how she's standing up really nice with her pediatrician. And she said, yes, I go to 2 schools. And at the time she had a bit of a speech impairment because she was still pronouncing some of her words. And she said, yes, I go to 1 school that says, focus, focus, focus. And I get a sticker. And then she said, then my other school. And she said it twice. She said, they love my red boots. And I remember going home that night. At the time, I just cried and cried and cried. That cry where your pillow is wet. And it was a disappointing cry and a worry cry because I had felt for the first time that I had become, or I was almost like a hypocrite to what I was saying, unintentionally or unconsciously. And then I realized for that moment that it was that flood of the unconscious that us as parents feel despite our resource sometimes that gets in the way, right? Our own limiting thoughts, ideas, and beliefs. And I made that decision that evening after my husband saying, I'm not talking about this anymore at the time, because he was saying, you were so happy she got in, now you're contemplating it differently. And I decided collectively that we would pull her out of the private preschool and put her full-time into the play preschool and let the cards fall as they were. And I can't tell you how much better Paige did in that process. Her speech improved quickly. She made really great friends. She felt connected to the community of the school. And then we waited to apply to the private school that was the best for her. And we ended up having success. And I felt it leaned more into who she was.
Oh, this is beautiful. When was this, by the way? Is this past year?
No. So this was Paige was Paige is born in January. So she was in her first preschool. So that's
preschool. I'm sorry, you said that.
Turning 5. So that was her 4 year. Okay. Yeah. So Paige, that was about 4.5 years ago now. Right. But I still think about it quite often when I hear families and parents. And it was quite cute because in that moment, a little boy ran into the conference room wearing red boots, which wasn't planned whatsoever. But what it made me see and continuously see as the years and days go by, and even in our conversation, is those things still creep up, right?
Yeah.
Those ideas that we're not doing enough, or we don't have the right answer. But I think that what I realize and what I know is that it's not about looking necessarily within our answer, but seeking what's limiting our answer by trying to listen to our children, right? And they do have the right answers. We just have to be able to connect those to what's being asked.
Wow.
Right?
That was a beautiful story. And here she is, happy as can be, right? So,
yeah, she has her moments like any other kid still, but yes, much happier, right? And every day that goes by, it's really about looking at how do we foster that. So with the question that maybe many listeners might be hearing right now, and if you are, I don't know if there's any way that you can tell you because you're hosting, but I think the biggest thing is that was asked at the expo, and maybe this will resonate, was, well, how do we link that to the questions, tell me how you would be a good fit, or tell me what do I need to know about your child, right?
Yeah.
And over the last few months, I've been reading other people's journal entries of what they would write for that. And many of them focus on things like accolades their children have, that they're really great at soccer or sports or piano, or they are aspiring in X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But do I really need to know that about their child?
Yeah.
Do I? So when you look at it from the lens of, I always say, if you were in a flood of a whole bunch of children and I had to ask you to describe how I would recognize your child, or something that I would do to get your child to stand out of that crowd so that they would identify as your child, what would you tell me? So I'll ask you that question. Pick one of your boys.
Okay.
And if I were to say to you, what would you do if I come to you, if you said to me, I can't find my son, I need you to find him. What do I need to know about your son that only you know, that would be important to share with me, that would gain his trust in knowing that you really are the one who's looking for you?
Well, first of all, you can't miss him because he's always dressed in like a Halloween costume. Like today, he's wearing a skeleton outfit, probably. He loves the holidays. He loves animatronics. So anything fun like that would connect you to him. If you're talking about decorating, carving pumpkins, or anything holiday related, he's got this knack for like crafts and doing fun, yeah, he's a festive little kid. So you would need to know that about him. But very whiny. But yeah, you would be able to pick him out of the crowd because he's always dressed very oddly. Like he also, the other day, wore orange shorts with orange and black striped like candy cane socks, but like the Halloween version. So he dressed, a very eclectic dresser at the age of 7. So I think you'd spot him.
Okay. Well, he sounds interesting. So a couple things I pulled from that. So if I was a school that had a really strong program that elicited co-curriculars in art, also in animation or technology, those aspects would lean in. So you don't have to say art, linguistics, or animation.
You could just get an idea of someone. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then that personality to me says lots of curiosity, says that has leadership skills versus follower skills, but also sensitivity in reference to the idea that although he knows his own identity, he's still processing it. He's also very sensitive to criticism, right? About owning his own self. So ideas in schools that have really strong social, emotional, or values would really align with him. And then looking at also the idea that you're able to recognize his quirky sense of charm, and looking at that means that having a school that really focuses on individual concepts, or looking at really supporting the individual student, would really be important. So making sure that there are caring teachers, attentive teachers. So that was just coming from a basic conversation that we had.
That's funny.
And the examples like the Halloween or the skeleton, I would encourage parents to put those into the statement, because ChatGPT can't come up with that, right?
No.
Only you know that.
Yeah.
But what ChatGPT or the everyday person will always want to say art program, math program, and so on. But the school knows about their programs. What they don't know about is how those relate to who your child is.
Interesting. Yeah, he got made fun of the other day for the first time because he said the girl on the bus was making fun of his socks. He was obsessed with penguins the past 2 years. He's now over penguins, but he wore pink penguin socks. So the fact he had pink on, this little girl teased him, and he actually came home upset. And I was like, oh, first time getting picked on in school. So now he doesn't want to wear the pink socks anymore. But that was heartbreaking as a parent, right? To know that he's now like embarrassed and someone's pointing out his uniqueness.
But what would you do if you, now looking at the situation, first ask yourself, when we're chunking a situation like that, the first thing that I always suggest to parents is to kind of hold space for the emotion your child is feeling, right? So we're not trying to validate it, or we're not trying to kind of fix it. We're just simply saying, when that happened, how did that make you feel, right? Yeah. And then they usually will express. Then from there, it comes down to, well, tell me about these socks. Why did you choose to wear them today? Right? Because I liked them, because I really thought they were fun, right? All of those different things. Then you can reframe it and say, well, then it must have really hurt then, trying to remember the words that he used when so-and-so made fun of your socks, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and then really just kind of hold that, because then they're kind of feeling like it's not really a necessity for me to defend, but really you're just hearing how I'm feeling about it. Then from there, you can say, because now he doesn't want to wear them. And then you would say, well, it's really disappointing then that if you would stop wearing them when you felt all of these X, Y, and Z's about them, what about if you provided the opportunity for her to understand why you like them?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because what happens is traditionally, and my daughter just recently got glasses, and at first she wasn't sure she was going to wear them to school. So, and it was interesting because I said to her, maybe we need like a test pair, just a test pair of glasses. Like a fun test pair, because some people wear funky things, and maybe you can have a test pair. And I said, they're a test pair page because you can try them on and see what happens in the day. So we didn't wear them to school. We just wore them out and about. Okay. And then everybody was kind of saying to her, those are funky glasses. Those are cool. Those are different things. And she was kind of like, wow, everyone thinks these glasses are really cool, Mom. And we had just gotten them at like a thrift shop, just a pair of thrift shop glasses. When she had gone to school, and as we were getting into the school ground, somebody said, as soon as we went in there, said, just drop off, said, Paige, you look creepy with glasses.
Oh. And
I watched my daughter say like with the most confident voice, she just said, creepy. And then the boy said, yeah, you look creepy with those glasses on, like different. And then Paige said, that's weird. I think I'd be creepy if I couldn't see.
Beautiful. Wow.
And then she kept walking. Yeah. And it was hard for me in two ways, because one, I was proud of her that she was able to say that. And then two, I'm still floored that children still do that at this age, right? Instead of, with all the awareness that we have with the necessity of inclusion and ideas, that children still find moments to bring up challenge with children, right? Children to children. But then in that context, what I say is that there will always be that person as life comes on. And how do we learn to deal with it? And it's how we support that for them from our own experience. So when Paige said that, I said to him, Paige, I was proud of you that you said that you were able to use your voice. And I said to her, why did you explain that to him? And she said, because I don't think I'm like silly or crazy, Mom, that I have glasses. I need them to see. And I told him that I need them to see. And I said, yeah, and you see a lot better with them, right? And she said, yeah, I see a lot better. And then I said to her, what about then? If someone else says it again, and maybe he gets 2 or 3 friends, how would you feel then? And she said, well, that'd be a little bit different. I might not be so brave. And I said to her, but you can still see, right?
Got it.
And she goes, yeah. And I go, then do you think that sometimes maybe it's not worth having a conversation with those people? Do you think sometimes it's worth just kind of walking away from them and showing them that, it's not worth it?
Yeah.
Right? And then just walk away. And she thought about it for a few minutes, and she said, but what if they follow? Right? And I said, what if they follow, Paige? What would you say if they followed and you turned around and you just said to them, you know what? These glasses help me see. Then they'll see that you're not getting angry about it. You're not running away. You're not doing any of that, but you're being firm in your thought. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is that our children will have lessons and they'll have ideas, But our ultimate goal is still to always encourage them to make a value add choice, that they do have the choice to hold on to their truth and walk away from those people who continuously, and they don't need to change who they are.
Oh, right? That's a beautiful story. And is she still wearing her glasses now? Everything
She
good?
still is, yeah. Mommy has forgotten them a few times. And
of course.
I'm learning to find ways and routines to pack them so we don't lose them. But she's still wearing them with complete pride. And that to me is most important. With your son, I would say something along the lines of, I always say, when your son had the courage to be different and lean in and to kind of wear something fun and excited and not think about color or idea and just decide to wear these socks, I would throw on a pair of cool socks yourself.
I did. Well, the next day I wore them.
See?
I said, I'm wearing the pink ones today. I said, because I love them too. Let it know that he can wear them again. He hasn't yet still asked for them, but I was just letting him know it's okay to wear them. Good one.
So test it. So do what we call a test zone and say, maybe it was just her. Maybe she doesn't understand how cool they are because she's not ready yet.
Well, the best part about it is she's the girl who bought him a penguin bracelet over the summer for his birthday to like track a penguin. So like she knows he loves penguins. So it's not like...
Oh, I understand what's happening there then.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So it's more of an emotional barrier thing. So it's more of a jealousy thing. So she bought something for him that was a penguin. And that was kind of like a special thing. Penguin, I bought it for you. Show it off. I bought it. I know you. You buying something for Penguin, having something different, all of a sudden, in not political ways, trumps the one that she bought him, right?
I didn't think about that. Yes.
So her lack of ability to kind of resonate with that concept or idea in her social emotional lens of like a 7-8-year-old is to simply make fun of it.
Got it. Yeah, wow, that's what I never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
cool.
So that's what it is. So all he could say to her is that wear the bracelet she got the other day. She'll notice it.
Yeah.
The same day he wears the socks again. So wear them at the same time.
That is a great idea. Well, the problem is I can't find it.
But the bracelet is my socks are just like the bracelet.
Oh my gosh, I can't. I gotta find it. I can't find it. It's lost in the playroom, but I know it's in there. I know it. He didn't ever wear it.
The abyss of the playroom.
You know what that? You know what so that's like, right?
What are your rules with your playrooms?
My playroom is my dining room. We don't have a playroom. There's no dining room. We have a kitchen, and then there's that stupid room that people call a dining room. You're supposed to have a table and. That's not me. I don't think, even after the kids grow up, I don't think I'll ever have it in there. Like, who goes in the dining room? So the dining room is our playroom. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And do you have like rules of like organization in it?
Oh, I do with the bins and the toys. And guess what? If I'm not around, it just goes to, forget it. It's not as organized as it should be. It is. And then they tear through it. They don't really pick up after themselves all the time. I have to remind them, but which is cute. I let them, but then they put things back in the wrong spot. So then after a few weeks, it's hectic in there. I wouldn't wish you to walk in there. You might, if you
no, mine either. But I've come to this point in time where you look at things that are, so I say to her, Paige, your playroom is your space, and I'm fine with it being and representing how you want it and feel like it needs to be, and I'll close the door. But your bedroom is part of the home, right? And I really want some support in you making sure that it's tight.
Oh, I love that.
Right? So a balance and a win. Just a balance and a win. So you're letting them like have a little bit of that space and then balancing it there.
I love that.
One of the things that I love having this conversation with you is that I said it before, it's like coffee time with you.
We just talk about whatever, but at work it becomes like, okay, wow, it's just real conversation, and you always spark something new and interesting. Thank you for inspiring me to speak like this. I mean, right?
Well, you already do. You already did and do, because you already put the socks on independently on your own before we even chatted about it. You already have a playroom that you don't have massive rules of engagement. Know that it's a cyclone happening. So you're already doing those things. And that's the part I'm trying to convey, is that if we stop, look, and listen to ourselves and see within the eyes of what our kids see, we're actually doing what we need to do. We're just so fearful of it being accepted, like your son with his penguin socks and different things. We just know from being an adult that too shall pass. But for them in this little capsule, they don't know and see that yet.
It's so true. Thank you so much. I love it. Great show. Great talk, as always. Paula, how can we contact you?
So give me a shout on howellacademics.com. Lots of new things coming up over the next few weeks. And also www.howellacademics.com or Paula Howell at howellacademics.com. Or you can telephone me 778 628-0204.
Oh, thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you here and looking forward to next week as well. Thanks again.
Yes. Okay, until our tea time.
Exactly. And good luck getting everyone all ready. My goodness, the stress of all those applications. God bless.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you again. Bye-bye, sweetheart.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.